Welcome. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner, an emergency live show on a Sunday night, July 14th. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends if you want to support this college football rebel outpost channel with a donation to help us keep the lights on. Hit the $ where you make a comment and I'll get you super chat as fast as I possibly can. Welcome everybody. A very important live show tonight. And this ain't gonna be the first time. Well, it's not the first time, and it ain't gonna be the last time where the script has been flipped. Welcome everybody into the studio that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to be a legend. With your comments in the chat room and with your phone calls later in the show. May 23rd. I knew that from that day forward, I was going to get shredded here at Peek Around the Corner. I have never been called so many different names in my life. Once again, I became the captain of the misinformation ship. However, we at Peek Around the Corner have never, ever lied to you during this story and other stories in the past. On May 23rd at Peek Around the Corner, we said, the chatter behind the curtain. Florida State and Clemson are not the targets of the Big Ten. Not the first targets of the SEC. We talked about a whole bunch of reasons why it possibly could be. Some of those are the reasons. We talked about relationships being the most important component in this realignment wave. I have told you recently that it was going to get more clear. You're going to get more clarity. I would say this is the start. It's definitely not it's not the end. It's not the middle. It's the very start. Besides what we said on May 23rd and May 28th and every day since then. Breaking news this evening. And we're going to put this in the proper context. Jason Shear of Arizona 247, Arizona Authority, according to sources, there is an internal belief in the Big 12 that Florida State and Clemson are likely to join the conference within the next year or so. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the only pick that I'm going to show this evening. I don't have any articles. I don't have any pictures. I don't have anything else. I'm going to squarely talk about this Jason Shear bomb of this evening. According to sources, there is an eternal belief in the Big 12 that Florida State and Clemson are likely to join the conference within the next year or so. Number one, this is a Big 12 internal belief. It's not a done deal. It can't be a done deal. It's impossible. And Jason Scheer is not reporting that it's a done deal. Sources are telling Jason Scheer that it is an internal belief. An internal belief that it's likely that Clemson and Florida State would join the conference a year from now. And I have no problem at all with that reporting. The Big 12 might have some confidence, might have an internal belief. We talked about it. We were the ones that we broke the story that there were Big 12 and Florida State third-party talks and Clemson. We broke that 3 weeks ago. And in our last live show, we pushed the envelope and we said a little bit more aggressive than the usual third-party talk. When Ross Dellinger supposedly backtracked on his comments with John Kurtz, he did not backtrack on the early conversations where they're going to get more serious when Florida State and Clemson can find themselves out of the conference. We had peek around the corner when we said on May 23rd that Florida State was not going to be the first target of the Big Ten. Neither was Clemson, and neither school was going to be the first target of the SEC. I wasn't taking a shot at Florida State Clemson. They are two incredibly big, valued schools, universities, football programs, big fan base, electric. I believe they're going to get what they need. Water will seek its own level. There is no stopping Florida State and Clemson on getting what they need to compete at the highest level of college football and college sports. You're not going to be able to deny Florida State. You're not going to be able to deny Clemson. But we at Peek Around the Corner, our goal, every single live show, is to give you the most accurate peek around the corner that there is in college football. And this is not our first rodeo. Not even close. I just got more, and I understand. Supposedly, Peek Around the Corner has been bringing a lot of bad news to Florida State and Clemson. I haven't. I've been giving you the truth. I also believe that Florida State and Clemson are going to have more than one option. They make sure they're going to get what they deserve. The money that they deserve. The exposure that they deserve. But I've been telling you the truth. When I said there is no done deal between the Big Ten and Florida State, there's no handshake, there's no wink, there's no nod, there's nothing. I've been telling you the truth. Same thing with Clemson. I just witnessed another Florida State YouTube channel take a shot at me. You can take all the shots you want. You better get them in now. The receipts have piled up. I have pushed the envelope as far as I possibly could to explain why North Carolina and Notre Dame are the tent poles of this next realignment. I talked about the importance of relationships and how that was the most important component in this next realignment wave. And I've told you this is the beginning of more clarity on this subject. Jason Scheer. I know what's going to happen. I've been there. We've been there together. Jason Scheer hit a grand slam after a grand slam after a grand slam after a grand slam when it came to the Big 12, Pac-12 saga. I know that. He knows that. The people who follow them know that. So when Jason Scheer says there's an internal belief, Jason's not reporting that it's a done deal. He's going to be taken out of context. He's not saying it's a done deal. An internal belief that it is likely that this is probably going to happen. Florida State and Clemson in the next year or so. You can disagree with Jason Scheer, but I would not mock him like he was mocked during the Big 12, Pac-12 saga. I think you probably should pull back. I have spoken to Jason in the past, not about this story. I know this is the chatter behind the curtain, that Florida State and Clemson are not what the SEC and the Big Ten are targeting. I've been telling you guys that for 7 weeks. I personally would not close the door on any possibility of Florida State reaching the SEC or Clemson reaching the SEC. I think it's highly unlikely that they get to join the Big Ten, but we'll find out. But they're definitely not the targets. And, again, I'm going to say this. To the war chant, into Florida State 247, and to all the great Seminole fans out there. The people who have been telling you that it's been a done deal for over a year, that Florida State is automatically School 19, that it's a handshake deal, that they received an offer, that they've been approved by Fox Sports, by the presidents. It's all been, and it's a good thing this is a family show. It's all been a pile of dung. So keep that in mind. I have not been anti-Florida State. This channel has not been anti-Clemson. We understand the great value of Clemson and Florida State. We get it. We know it. Nobody has to tell us this. But we had to give you the true lay of the land. We got the information May 23rd. And I've been getting raked over the coals ever since. But I knew this day was going to come. And more days are coming. More reporting is coming. Before we get to your comments, and before we get to your super chats, and before we get to your phone calls, I want to make this perfectly clear. No doors, in my opinion. You take out my opinion however you want it. I don't think any doors have been closed on Florida State or Clemson. But I will tell you this. They had third-party talks recently with the Big 12. As we reported 3 weeks ago, they were a little bit more aggressive than what you would normally consider third-party talks. They haven't had the first-party talks. The reason that Florida State and Clemson have gone, they're creating more options, is because they know as well that they're just right now currently are not the first options of the SEC and the Big Ten. They know that. They're not going to go out and report. They're not going to go out and let the, they're not going to tell their fans this. They're going to work hard to try to get to the SEC. Florida State is going to try to do some sort of blend to get into the Big Ten, but they're going to need help. They might get there. They might get there 5 years from now. There might be a Super League 5 years from now, paid by a private equity firm, in which Florida State, of course, is going to be included, and Clemson are going to be included in my opinion. But somebody, nothing is done, but there is a reason why there is an internal belief in the Big 12, because the Big 12 knows. The Big 12 knows that Florida State and Clemson are not the first targets of the SEC and the Big 10. Everybody knows, or everybody is going to know. Everybody is going to know what the PATC community has known since May 23rd. And I think now, Florida State and Clemson, the fans, the fan base, I think they can now get, in my opinion, they can get focused. There is no way, in my opinion, there's no way that the Big 12 are going to be able to get Clemson and Florida State unless they belly up to the bar. Unless they give Clemson and Florida State what they need to compete at the highest level of college football, college athletics. And another thing, I believe that Florida State and Clemson are going to have a few more options. So your marks, you're not going to be able to get Clemson and Florida State coming in soft. You might get them coming in hard, and of course your mark is very, very, very aggressive. And I think those Big 12 universities, they know, I believe they know the value of Florida State and Clemson, what it would do to the conference from day one. But there's a lot of reasons. Again, I've spoken to Jason in the past, so I don't want to put words in his mouth. He is a great reporter. He's been thrown under the bus. He was part of the Endeavor conspiracy. Jason Shear, Brian Etheridge, 365 Sports, John Kurtz, the fat guy from Minnesota. We're all part of a conspiracy. For the last 2 weeks, I've been part of a misinformation campaign. No, I have not. Why would I do that? Why would I waste the credibility of this program, a Peek Around the Corner, that we've established, the track record for the last 8 years, just to misinform somebody of something that is going to be easily proven in a couple of months? Why would I do that? So, this story is about Clemson, Florida State, trying to get released out of their ACC grant of rights, however that gets done. They're going to have more than one option, no question about it. They're going to build up, they're going to make sure they have more than one option to put pressure on the Big 12. Big 12's, I believe it. I believe they have internal belief that they're likely going to land the two schools. There's been a lot of third-party talks. The chatter behind the curtain, there is nobody that is going to come out in, I shouldn't say that. It's highly, highly unlikely that anybody's going to come out and report that, at this point in time on July 14th, that Florida State has the inside track to go to the Big Ten or the SEC. Nobody has been saying that. That has been void. And the only thing that, that I think has people make a valid point. Greg, Could the SEC be doing a misdirection play? Could they be setting it up where they really want Florida State? They're the number 1 or 2 target, and this is a misdirection play. There is a chance that that is happening. I don't think it is, but I'm not going to completely shut down that door. I don't think it is. But there is basically zero chance that the Big Ten, this is part of a misdirection with the Big Ten. Not because they're holier than thou. That has nothing to do with it. Because I know where the fountain of this information is coming from. This is not a misdirection play from the Big Ten. The Big Ten is eyeing Notre Dame and North Carolina. The SEC is eyeing North Carolina and the connective tissues. Whatever needs to be done. We'll see how aggressive the SEC gets. And then the dominoes and pieces will drop after that. I don't think there's going to be many dominoes dropped beyond North Carolina, Florida State, Clemson, and possibly Notre Dame. What the Big Ten, the internal belief of the Big Ten is that if North Carolina, if there is an opening and the SEC comes in very aggressive and is willing to take North Carolina State, or whatever that aggressive play is to get North Carolina, that Notre Dame will no longer be able to remain the way they are right now with football being independent and their sponsored teams, Olympic teams in the ACC. That will become in peril. This is what the Big Ten is looking at. Nothing is imminent, I believe, with Notre Dame. I don't think it's imminent. I think they're going to wait. They can wait. They can afford to wait. I want to get to you super chats. We got a lot to talk about. I got to get to your phone calls. I do appreciate you all coming here. We're not going to do a roll call. I do appreciate you all being here. Your Mark for Emperor of the World. All hail your Mark. Thank you, Ryan Martin, for becoming an early peak member. And once again, you are hereby knighted cloak and dagger. Appreciate it. Kerry Gold knows the sheer madness, internal belief is called hope. I appreciate Super Chat. Kerry Gold knows. But as you know, Kerry, what I've been reporting since May 23rd, if there's any truth to it, and there is, I can understand why the Big 12 does have an internal belief that they can pull this off. Ryan Thomas, thank you for the super chat. The evil space badgers have infiltrated the water supply with hallucinogenic Greg. Some alcoholic cheese that has been plastered. Some crackers. Thank you so much for the super chat. Ryan Thomas, appreciate it. Heartbreak 25. Penn State Total University budget is $9 billion. Total athletic revenue, $200 million. Football alone doesn't pay the bills. That is true. But I'm not going to pretend that Florida State is not an emerging research university. But Florida State alone, as we've reported, would not be enough to scratch all the interest in the Big Ten, to scratch all the backs, to check off all the boxes. We have tried to make this clear. They're going to need something else to come with them to the Big Ten. That's the reality of it. Heartbreak 25, I do appreciate your super chat. R Web. Hey, Greg, Big 12 Karen is on line 1. LOL, go Greg. Thank you so much for the super chat. R Web. I do appreciate it. I do get it. I know what's going to happen. I know what's going to happen. Not with the ACC implosion. I know what's going to happen to Jason Shear. As you can imagine, I'm getting a lot of, and of course, on our last live show, we talked about, if you didn't watch it, go watch it. Saturday morning, Saturday at lunch, we talked about the BTM and his associates, and they laid the same picture as what Jason Scheer just laid out. Jason took it a step further. I know he's got he's got great sources. And before people, people can disagree with Jason, but before you go out on a limb and try to tear him down, his integrity, I would do a full stop on that. Jason has not reported that it's a done deal. He's not reported it's a done deal, and it can't be. It can't possibly be. And Florida State and Clemson are going to build up their options. But I do not doubt that there is some optimistic in the Big 12. They're probably going to do what is needed to be done to grab those two monsters, Florida State and Clemson. Florida State and Clemson are going to have to get paid by private equity or by private equity. Florida State and Clemson are going to get what they needed, but it's all rooted, as you know, when it comes to realignment. Realignment never sleeps. Relationships matter. And the first dominoes fall first. And really, the first dominoes have fallen. They might get picked back up, but the first dominoes have fallen. And that is that the Big Ten and the SEC are looking elsewhere. For now. Could that change? Yes. Could Notre Dame balk at the Big Ten again? Yes. Could North Carolina somehow get bogged down even more in the political quagmire of the state of North Carolina? Yes. Same thing happened in Virginia. Yes. Quagmire. Politics. Virginia. Yes. This is why Clemson and Florida State to the Big 12, not a done deal. But I would not laugh at it. 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 We're going to get to your phone calls right now. The number is 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. Phone lines are open. I want to make one more comment.
Call from
Ryan Martin.
Ryan Martin, can you hold on just one moment? I do apologize. I had a big old monologue, but I want to say one more thing. before you go out there and you can disagree with Jason. A lot of people have been disagreeing with me since May 23rd. That's why we have this YouTube channel, so we can disagree with each other, for goodness sake. But before you go take personal shots or try to tear him down, or before you accuse him of being in some part of misinformation campaign, before you accuse him of being part of, I don't know, but before you do that, before you go personal on it, and you really shouldn't, but if you're going to do it, I would just hold on. Because I can tell you, more is coming. I said that in the last live show, show before that, show before that, show before that, show before that. I said the good news is more clarity is coming. And it is, and it's going to fit what Jason Shear has said tonight. Although he went into the internal belief of the Big 12, which is probably more of really great reporting than anything else. Ryan Martin, I do apologize. Thank you for your patience. The floor is yours.
How are you doing tonight, Greg?
I did not think I was going to have a live show tonight, but this is the nature of this channel. We go where the story goes. We try to give you guys the peak, and sometimes we get way out there. We get hammered for months, but then, well, this happens. The floor is yours, sir.
I want to put an idea in everybody's brain before we start talking about how the Big 12, they don't make enough money. They're not going to do this. They're not going to do that. They have to take private equity to make this happen. And private equity may be a part of this in the long run. But I want people to keep this in mind. The Big 12, unlike the Big 10 and the SEC, have not started their new media deal yet.
Big 10 has.
They don't.
The Big 10 has.
The Big 10 has. The SEC just started there.
Yes, sir. You
started
are correct.
July 1st.
Yes, sir. Yep.
So there's still time for things to go back and be reopened and negotiated, and for new partners potentially to be brought on. It's a done deal that ESPN and Fox are going to be a part of the Big 12 deal. It's a done deal for $31.7 million per school per year.
Yes, sir.
But the deal hasn't started yet. Yeah, they can always go back.
Yep. And that's going to be renegotiated upward if they get Clemson in Florida State. Yep.
You bring in FSU and Clemson, and all of a sudden, it's not like the Four Corners where this deal was negotiated with their value in mind as part of a pro rata expansion. There was a list of schools where, if they are available, yes, we would approve these. Yes, we would approve these. If FSU and Clemson are on the table, that shoots the value up massively, for one. Now, everybody might be saying, well, why would ESPN do this? They already have them for pennies on the dollar in the ACC. It's the fact that the lawsuits are still ongoing and there's no light at the end of the tunnel. It doesn't seem like they're close to being done. It doesn't seem like the ACC is willing to settle anytime soon. They're willing to drag this out as long as possible. But that February 1st, 2025 date is looming bigger and darker and faster the more that time goes on. And ESPN has a choice to make. And they don't. The larger this lawsuit, or these 5 lawsuits, loom over the ACC, the bigger the risk is for the long-term health of the deal. If ESPN cuts the ACC free, they settle the deal for them. It creates the ability for movement to happen a lot faster than anybody ever anticipated it would. And if that happens, Big Ten and SEC may get their first picks and not worry about anybody else. Where does that leave FSU and Clemson for right now?
Yep.
So it just food for thought for people out there who think, oh, the Big 12 is too poor for all of this. Not really. There is still time for backroom deals to be made, and that's really who's going to be calling the shots on anything. It's what the media partners say go. And this is my read of the situation, but like for Oregon and Washington, I think it was only Fox who agreed to pony up more money for them. CBS and NBC did not. So that's why they got the partial shares as part of their agreement to join the Big Ten, and the ability to borrow money, obviously, too. That kind of offset everything.
And CBS and NBC have agreed to pay everybody more money if Notre Dame comes on the board. So that's what they're waiting for.
That's, like I said, where there was, we have a list of schools. We have it's only P5 editions, but there was a list of schools that ESPN and Fox gave Your Mark the green light to ahead of time in order to be able to make this deal. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I think a lot of people underestimate too, is Your Mark is a business partner the media partners like working with, because he's not going to complain, and his schools aren't going to complain about having to play Friday night games or late night games against or in the dead of winter up in the Big Ten world. And I know that's a kind of a weather thing for them, but you're not going to see much dissension and much pushback. You have schools that are willing to do what is necessary to survive, and don't think that they are bigger than what they are to the media partners, which is a vehicle to make money. I think that there's a very, very good, if Jason is starting to talk about this, there's a very, very good likelihood that FSU and Clemson, at least for now, end up in the Big 12. We don't know what the next few years is going to look like. Super League, they could get the invite down the road. Who knows? But this is an opportunity for Your Mark to continue to show that he was the best decision that the Big 12 has ever made. And that if he can take this opportunity as it's presented to him, like he did with the opportunity with the Pac-12 schools, if he can make it work, he's going to make the Big 12 a legitimate contender with the Big 10 and the SEC. Big 10 and SEC fans may disagree, but that's the way it'll be.
All right, sir.
I've said my piece, and I will get off the phone and let somebody else take over.
Appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Great call.
Thank you.
Great call. Thank you so much, Ryan Martin. Juan M., this is playing out almost exactly like last year with the Pac-12 teams. Interesting to see the increase in Big 12 payouts if Florida State and Clemson are added.
Call from.
I'm sorry, Immaculate, are you there?
I am. Hey.
Yes, sir. One thing, just wanna make something clear here. The chatter behind the curtain, as we've been saying since May 23rd, there's coolness, SEC in the Big Ten. Right now, when it comes to Clemson and Florida State, there's other things that they're going to look at first. But also, Your Mark knows this, guys. He knows there was an opportunity created. He's going after it aggressively. And along with that, of course, there's an eternal belief. But the Big 12 knows what you guys have known since May 23rd. There, I said that. Immaculate, go ahead. The floor is yours, my friend.
Whew. What a thing, though. I wasn't even paying attention to that. Just popped in, and here we go.
Yeah,
So,
it's
flying off the cuff here with you on this one.
keep your head on a swivel, Hawkeye.
Yeah. I don't know what to think of this, man. And to be honest, my initial reaction is still, this might be final phase disinformation, but that's a bit, quirky. But if this is true, big if, I don't think this is just a Fox and ESPN game anymore. They're both got their hands in so much stuff. For this to make it worthwhile for Florida State and Clemson to lead this, because I still have a hard time believing it. But if it is to be true, I think they need another partner. I think that we're talking maybe like TNT Sports coming in and being a big-time partner.
Could be.
And that, otherwise, I don't know how this makes a lot of sense. And everyone's kind of pooing on it. I'm like, I get it. Like, my initial impression would be like, this is not true. So then I have to think, okay, well, how does this become true? Just, the what if scenario. Because we don't know everything. We're sitting here trying to figure stuff out. The only way I can come up with this being true is if there's a brand new big investor coming in. And I know everyone wants to think PE, and I'm like, I'm not a big buyer into that. That's not real money. That's like, you still got to pay it back. It's not real. Whereas like TNT, if they come in, and if these certain schools come over, they're getting arguably people call it some of the best basketball. Well, it's arguing now with the ACC still just based upon who went the farthest in the tournament. But in terms of just getting pure content, regular season, postseason, it's pretty good for them if they've decided like we're losing out on the NBA and we're switching directions to where the money is in the future. That's who I think has to be involved with this. That's my call on that. I don't know what else to go in on this. It's kind of like, okay, I guess we'll find out. But everyone's kind of talking like, well, how much does it mean Fox and ESPN are going? Maybe not that much more. Maybe some, obviously. They're not going to want to get shut out of the content of Florida State and Clemson. I don't know, say Virginia Tech, maybe even North Carolina State. If North Carolina State's involved in this, to get the North Carolina Board of Governors to say yes, it's got to be a big amount, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
It maybe doesn't have to be equal to the SEC or Big Ten, but it's got to be enough where they say, okay, fine. So it's got to be another one. So that's all I got, man. I don't know what else. I don't want to carry on about the same thing over and over. I know someone else is going to want to talk about this, but that's my 2 cents, is that there's got to be another partner in this now. So we'll see.
You got it. Great call, sir. Makes a lot of sense.
Have yourself a good one, buddy. We'll talk to you later.
Yep.
Call from
T.F. Williams.
I did not get the name.
T.F. Williams.
Williams, can you hold on 1 second? Just want to remind
Yes, sir.
everybody, if you're
Yes,
new
sir.
to the channel, or if you haven't done so yet, hit the subscribe button and have those notifications turned on, because look, we're doing a live emergency show tonight. We're going to be doing a lot of them in the days and weeks ahead. If you want to keep getting a peek around the corner at college football, join our channel, hit the subscribe button, smash the like button. William, go ahead, let it rip. What do you got to say, sir?
Well, as an old fan,
Yes, sir.
just thinking back over the last, how this has played out over the last couple of years, we've had a trouble with Notre Dame, and for me, it seems like Notre Dame is holding the whole thing hostage. The Big Ten's waiting on them, maybe North Carolina.
Yes, sir. That's what's happening.
And I think that for us, as Seminoles and Tigers out of Clemson, we are waiting on we did this. Florida State anyway has been building the academic thing for the last 5 years, trying to get research up, academic.
Yes, sir.
Coach Norvell has made a big difference on the athletic academics for football especially.
Yeah.
And they brought it to a level it's never been before. And
Yes,
still
sir.
producing on the field. So for me, it's like, for a Florida State fan, we made a good faith effort. We're building our stuff up. We're doing everything we can to raise our status academically, athletically. Our soccer team, female soccer teams, won 3 national championships. Baseball's doing well. Softball has won a national championship. We're doing everything we can in every area. We do well in the Directors Cup to make this happen for us and make our university more presentable for someone else. And to me, that seems to be the issue.
That seems to be the what?
The issue. The way everybody's waiting to see what Notre Dame does.
Yeah.
And then they'll go.
Yeah, that's exactly. North Carolina and Notre Dame are the tent poles of this next realignment wave. And I said this, Florida State is not going to be denied. Maybe they're going to be not in the Big Ten, not in the SEC for now, but they're going to get way more value. They're going to get what they deserve than sticking out in the ACC under that grant of rights, under that Tier 1, Tier 2 deal till 2036. Florida State wants to get to the open market because they know they're going to get so much more because of their incredible brand, because of their emerging research university. They're going to be in the catbird seat. They're going to have leverage with the Big 12 because there are other options for Florida State. There could be this plan after Florida State and Clemson get out when they know what they have to pay, when they know when they're going to get their grant of rights, their media rights back. There is the option of reconfiguring, reconstructing a new 18 ACC that's going to be worth more than it is now per team. The Big 12 knows they're not going to be the only game in town, but there's reasons why the Big 12 feels pretty good about it. But Florida State's going to get, water seeks its own level. Florida State is a big time player in college sports, an emerging university. They're going to get there. They're going to get what they need. But I've been saying since May 23rd, it ain't going the way that it's been out there on the message boards and everywhere else. And I had to put that out there. I had to tell the truth. And I think people are going to start seeing it.
I appreciate that, Greg. I appreciate everything you've done. I've watched your show. That's why I subscribe. I think you do a great job of breaking down the analytics and presenting them fairly. So that's why I do it. But I would really love to see our Knowles maybe do a scheduling agreement with the Big 12 or, what's left of the ACC to get through that time until we can get the invite we deserve.
That could be what happens. Or what could happen is the Big 12 offers a deal that Florida State cannot refuse, right? I mean,
yes, sir.
Right? So, because Florida State and Clemson, let's just pretend, you and me, we're just pretending here. Let's say Florida State and Clemson do go to the Big 12. Well, my goodness, the Big 12's value just shot upward. The college football playoff distribution money. That alone, the Big 12 is going to go upward in percentage. Each of those schools get $5 or $6 million more. What if all that money goes to Florida State and Clemson? Right off the bat. That's how much more money Florida State. You're going to be right up there with the Big Ten and the SEC schools. Remember when Brett Yormark wanted that 2028, 2027 look-in on the college football playoff distribution model for material realignment? Well, Clemson and Florida State going to the Big 12 is big-time material realignment. And right away, the Big 12 is going to go up in value, and the private equity firms know that. They're going to know they're going to get their money back. Florida State might get a deal that is impossible to refuse. We shall see, sir.
Yes, sir. The only thing that scares me is because of the troubles we've had with the ACC for so many years.
Yeah.
And with the snub of last year and the great hope of the Big Ten. I mean, that was a big thing for us.
Yes.
We thought this is a high academic conference. That's what we want to be a part of.
Yeah.
And then we feel, if they feel like that gets pulled out from under them, I'm talking about the fan base as a totality.
Yes, sir.
There's already bad feelings over all this stuff that went over the past year. And I'm just hoping it doesn't metastasize and make things worse.
Yeah, you got
internally
it,
for Florida State fan base.
I get it. I get what you're saying, and I appreciate you saying that, because as much as I try here at the College Football YouTube channel, a national channel, I haven't walked in your shoes, my friend, and so I appreciate you saying that, because there is an emotional attachment to all this. Florida State has been screwed, not just last year, but year after year after year. I get it. But again, I'm as much as Jason Shear, and I'll put it up on the screen again, as much as Jason Shear says there's an internal belief in the Big 12 that Florida State and Clemson are likely to join the conference in the next year, I have an internal belief that Florida State and Clemson are they're not going to be denied. They're going to get there. You cannot, in the open market, you see, and I'm going to say this. William, can you hold on for just a moment?
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it. I'm going to say this, because I've been saying this since day one, and I have been getting crucified. Florida State and Clemson did not go to the courts because they knew exactly where they were going to end up. That's not why they went there. They went to the courts because they just want to get out in the open market, because they know their value. They received valuations. There's more than one way to crack an egg. Florida State and Clemson, they know they're going to get there. It might be the long route. It might be the short route. But they went to the courts because it was more risky not to do it. There was no handshake, agreement, offer, none of that. But there is this belief, and I believe it. Everybody believes it. The chatter behind the curtain believes it, that Florida State and Clemson are going to receive what they finally deserve. It might not be under the SEC umbrella. It might not be under the Big Ten umbrella for the next few years or forever. Who knows? But they're going to get there, because they're just too high a value of a program and a university and a fan base and their sponsorship money and their ticket sales and their t-shirt sales. There's too much money. There's too much of everything, too much passion, too much history for them to be denied. It ain't going to happen. They're not going to get denied. But I don't think, I know this to be true, and I've known it since May 23rd. They're just not the top targets right now for the SEC and the Big Ten, because there's other stuff that is going on.
Yeah.
William, thank you for the phone call, man.
Hey, thank you, sir. You have a great evening.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.
Now, Al Bundy, Florida State would not take that phone call from Yormark if they didn't want to play in All-State. Florida State has not gotten that call from Yormark. There has not been first-party talks between Yormark and Florida State.
Call from
Ryan Thomas.
Ryan, can you hold on a second?
Sure, Greg.
I appreciate it. There's been no first-party talks. Yormark was not at those meetings like he was with Colorado. No decisions has been made. There's a long ways to go when Florida State and Clemson are going to be able to get out of the starting gate. In other words, know what they have to do, when they're going to get their own media rights. Then the race is on. But the Big 12 knows what the PATC community has known. When a door finally opened to me and I was finally able to report something that, yes, the SEC and the Big Ten are not targeting Florida State and Clemson. And, boy, the Big 12 knows that as well. and they're going to go after this. They're going to go after this. They're going to go after this aggressively. Ryan Thomas, the floor is yours. Let it rip.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting because in August of 2022, if you remember, when the Pac-12 decided to do that, where ESPN and Fox had that exclusive window, Jason Scheer said that first go-around, the Pac-12 was offered $24.5 million. And it turns out that he was 100% right. So I think that was interesting, just to point to Jason's credibility. But I kind of want to make a bigger point here, Greg.
Yes, sir.
My overall point is, like you said, internal belief. This doesn't mean this is going to happen. I personally do not think. I personally do not think the Big Ten is that stupid to let FSU slip out from underneath it. I think that if you get Notre Dame and FSU, man, you did great. And I think at the same time, I can't fault, and nobody should fault the Big Ten for taking the shot. And I could tell you very easily what could possibly be something that could work. Let's just take two things that are involved. You have a potential naming deal for 10 years of $1.2 billion from Allstate or someone like that. And then you have private equity for $1 billion. Well, you can get the upfront cash of $1 billion from private equity, and you can each give, and you can use the Allstate naming deal to pay that money back plus whatever return, private equity is looking to get. And, it doesn't affect anybody, and it basically ups the value of the TV deal for the conference, and great. And you give Clemson and Florida State, $500 million, $500 million signing bonus up front. That could be pretty enticing. I mean, or if you break it out, that's, you give all that money to them. That's $50 million plus the $31 million plus the $25 million in other non-media revenue distributions. That's putting Florida State and Clemson at $100 million a year. That's right up there with the SEC and the Big Ten. So, I mean, if the Big 12 can put together a financial package to make it worth the while, that's not a bad situation. And you also mentioned, you're exactly right. I mean, you're looking where Clemson and FSU would represent a great deal of that playoff money, and that look-in provision, that would shift a good deal of money to the Big 12. And, I think, certainly it's financially possible. Now, I personally don't think the Big Ten is, they can North Carolina this or North Carolina that. But I personally think that, Notre Dame absolutely is your first pick. But I just going to say this: if the Big Ten presidents pass on FSU, they need their heads examined. But I'll leave it at that. But either way, if you're FSU or Clemson and you have the opportunity to come out in a situation where you're making, getting $110 million a year in distributions, that's not a bad situation. You're getting what you deserve. And, what difference does it make what conference you're playing in at that point? Mm-hmm. I think that the good news I want to point out to FSU and Clemson fans is the good news is your schools are going to be taken care of because you got three conferences that you could definitely land in, and you've got at least one of them that if the two other ones don't pick you up is willing to do whatever it takes to get you. That's a great seat to be in, folks. So, I mean, I think that, and I think that's really that's bad news bears for the ACC because they can't do that. They can't match that. They can't financially match that. Yeah. And I think that's really the bigger story is I don't think ESPN is renewing that option. And because there's a lot of uncertainty with people cutting the cable, cutting the cord over the next 12 years. How much value would the ACC network have in carriage fees and other things in 12 years if that progressively goes down? And currently that's half their media rights. So that money could go down even more if people start cutting the cord and we start moving to streaming. So, I would just point out that FSU and Clemson fans, I think you're going to end up in either the SEC or the Big Ten. But if you end up in the Big 12 as a Big 12 homer, welcome to the Truck Stop Conference. I will get you a personally embroidered hat. We'd love to have you. But overall, I want you folks to realize that your schools are going to be taken care of. You're going to get the money you deserve. And that's really the most positive thing you need to take out of this, is rather than call people liars or worry about this, no matter what, you guys are going to get paid what you're worth. And I think that's a great positive thing to take away. Anyway, thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Appreciate it. Great call. Ryan Willie, thank you so much. I knew in my gut that Pete's comments about the big change in college football was about to happen was a nothing burger. Hold on a second.
Call from
Steve.
Steve, can you hold on, Mr. Bearcat?
Sure.
I just want to get caught up here and make another comment. Thank you so much, Ryan Willie, the Evil Badger, for becoming a Cloak and Dagger member for the 7th month. Holy smokes. You are hereby knighted, Cloak and Dagger, once again. Just a couple things before we listen to Mr. Bearcat Steve. He's going to let it rip. I know he is. He's been eyeing Notre Dame's motivation. Anyways, first of all, I just want to say, I'm already seeing it. People are going after the integrity of Jason Shear. I don't even want to post it up here. I'm telling you, don't do that. You can disagree with them. That's part of what we do. But boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. There's a lot of people who drove their car into the ditch going after Jason Shear in the Big 12 story and the Pac-12. And they're doing the same thing again. The people who get everything wrong just keep... Anyways, and Notre Dame, now, Jason Scheer says the Big 12 has this internal belief that Clemson and Florida State they're likely to become Big 12 members in a year or so. The Big 10 has this internal belief that this is probably another really good shot at getting Notre Dame, because Notre Dame, without Clemson, without Florida State, without North Carolina, the Notre Dame, and I talked about this in the live show, the BTM and Associates, that Notre Dame's ability to protect, to provide the best environment and value for their Olympic sports, their revenue sports, the ACC will no longer be able to do that, and the Big Ten is going to be in the catbird seat. This is why the Big Ten is just going to wait, and they believe that Notre Dame is eventually going to land in their lap when the ACC implodes, or they at least want to give that opportunity as wide as they possibly can. And that's another reason why Florida State and Clemson are not their number one target. Go ahead, Bearcat Steve. I appreciate your patience. Let it rip, my man.
Well, it could be argued that one of the bigger mistakes the ACC has made is letting Notre Dame bring their Olympic sports in and then be schedule 5 games or whatever they do with the ACC. And when they play at South Bend, it's an NBC game, and correct me if I'm wrong, but does the ACC have a NBC contract? I don't think so.
No.
So Florida, or I could see Florida State and Clemson and a few other members going, boy, we should have been a little bit cognizant of what could happen and how it's happened, and it's kind of played out that way. Another thing, long before WBD got into the partnership with Fox and ESPN, they were looking to somehow get into the college football broadcast business again, maybe only a game a weekend, 2 games a weekend. With the way the things have went for them with the NBA, what do? They go and grab Big East basketball. And I'm getting to my point, Greg, that I think with the partnership, and then they get a couple of, first-round playoff games from ESPN sublease, I think they can bring some money to the table for the Big 12 if, indeed, the Big 12 decides to expand. Mm-hmm. You're going to have, if you're going to have 18 teams or you're going to have 20 teams, once the regular season starts, that's 10 games, 10 games a weekend. I know they got Fox. I know they have the ESPN, but I just got a feeling that they didn't get into this deal with their other 2 partners not to have some college football on a regular basis. And then the other thing is they're taking True TV and basically making it all sports.
Yes, sir.
And they're doing that for a reason.
Yes,
They're doing that for a reason. Other than that, I don't have much more to say. It's just if people doubt the credibility of Jason Shear, they best go back, because he's got all kinds of receipts from the Pac-12 fiasco. He really does. And the guy wasn't going to report this if he thought that someone was giving him disinformation. He wouldn't have came out and did that. I don't think he would have. Pretty sure he wouldn't have. And it's kind of gone the way of people doubting what you were saying with the Pac-12 and what was going to happen.
And what I've been saying since May 23rd on this.
Yes. Yes.
I know.
And maybe, Greg.
Yeah.
Maybe once things become clearer in these lawsuits, and I'm not predicting this, but maybe the Big 12 will be the first one to crack the ACC. They might.
What was that last part?
The Big 12 may be the first ones to crack the ACC, just like they did the Pac.
Yeah. I mean, yes, because that could be because Clemson and Florida State know that.
Yep.
The others.
The way it's playing out.
Yep.
All right, Greg.
Notre Dame ain't going to be the first one. Yep, you are correct, sir.
That could be a distinct possibility.
Yeah.
Would it be Clemson? Would it be Clemson and Florida State? Who knows? But
yeah,
the way things are going, that could be a real distinct possibility.
Yeah.
Other than that, sometimes sooner or later reality slaps you in the face, and you got to go with it.
More is coming, Steve.
Yep.
More.
I got a feeling.
This is not what I was even talking about. More is coming. Buckle up. Brace for impact. Remember I said there's another layer to the story? That's not even this.
You said that 100 times in the last
That's
few
not
weeks.
even. That's not even this. So
there's probably You're saying there's another layer. There are probably 5 more layers that you know of that could come down.
Yeah.
But potentially. But yeah, I get it.
All righty, sir.
Hey, have a good Sunday evening.
You too, Steve. I appreciate it. Thank you, my friend.
See ya. Bye.
Jason Shear, Brian Etheridge, 365 Sports. They did not get enough credit. They did not get enough credit for the reporting. They did not get enough credit on the reporting on Big 12, Pac-12 stuff. Because I got to tell you, and I said it at the time, they hit a home run, grand slam throughout that reporting.
Call from
JD.
JD, Mr. Seminole, the floor is yours. Let it rip, sir.
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing just fine. Concerning Jason Scheer, I don't know what people on Twitter are saying, but people know generally that he's a very reputable journalist. I mean, what is he with Arizona 247? Is that what it is?
Yes. And, yes. Yes. He was part of the so-called Endeavor plot, the conspiracy. It was myself, John Kurtz, Jason Shear, people at 365 Sports. When, I talked about it, the whole year when the odds were in the favor of the Big 12, cracking the Pac-12 because, and the big in the Colorado meeting with the Big 12. I mean, Jason Scheer, he was told that he was part of just obnoxious stuff thrown at his way. And remember, JD, as I know you know this, you're a smart guy, very smart guy.
Allegedly.
You're still in my life. No, you are a smart guy. Jason Scheer. Now, JD, and I'm going to let you talk. You're going to have the floor as long as you want it.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good. It's your show, sir. You can kick me off for, Go ahead, though.
No. I need you, actually. I need your perception. I need your knowledge of all that. Jason Scheer is not reporting that this is a done deal because it's impossible to be a done deal, right? It's just impossible. What he's reporting, and I got up on the screen, there is an internal belief in the Big 12. There is this belief. They're optimistic. That's what he's saying. That's all he's saying. It's big news because he's saying it, but he's not saying it's a done deal. And he would tell you, I know he would. He's not saying it's a done deal because it ain't. Florida State could create more options. One of them being with the SEC or the Big Ten. But right now, and as you know, JD, from our reporting, we do not believe, we know that Florida State and Clemson are not the first targets. But they're going to get what they deserve. They're going to get what they need because they're undeniable. They're too big of brands, too big of universities, they're just too successful. They're going to get the resources they need by hook or by crook. But I'm going to let you go ahead, JD. We're very interested in what you have to say.
Well, I appreciate it, sir. I appreciate the time. Was talking with another fellow, Noel, and they made a really good point because I was speaking to them right about the time Jason Shear posted that, and I was thinking it, but they had said it first. It's pretty clear it's getting close to the time. because FSU is working out all their contingencies. Okay, obviously they want to go to the P2 first. I think third option would be their own conference and their own collaboration. But maybe the Big 12 is jumped into the number 2 spot. I don't know. Maybe the deal is too sweet to pass up. But
it's going to be too. I don't think there's a deal on the table. I think it's going to be too. It could be really great. But go ahead.
Sure. So the biggest takeaway for me is that we're getting close. The rumors about any kind of announced exits or things like that, they're gaining steam. Mm-hmm. Does it happen? We'll see. But it's gaining steam. So they're working out contingencies and all the rest of that. The perception amongst the FSU fan base that we're just going to the Big Ten, don't get me wrong, that's been a belief. Now, I will say this. There's a lot of people that have said it and believe it. I have believed it. But I have also, and I'm guilty of it, is just as much as the rest of the fans. There's only been...
JD, can I interrupt you for a second?
Sure.
It is absolutely 100% legitimate that Florida State fans should believe that, or could believe that, or have speculated on it, or wanted it, or with the SEC. I mean, of course. I mean, Florida State is a big brand, very valuable. I do not, remember, JD, when I've been pounding the table here, JD, it hasn't been because of Florida State fans believing that they're going to go to the Big Ten and the SEC. Or even a Seminole fan that has some information that they believe they're going to go to the SEC or the Big Ten. You know, JD, my number one pounding on the table, you know this, is for a very, 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 very small minority of people who are not even Seminole fans, right? Who have been saying that they know, they've reported over and over and over and over and over again that Florida State has an offer, a handshake, a wink and a nod, and those people, the very small minority who are not even Seminole fans, Cornhusker fan, who knows he's not telling the truth. He knows that. He knows that because he's been wrong for 8 years. He's been trolling everybody, and now Florida State fans are his next victim. And I've got way too much respect for the Seminoles. Not to say something. And there's Seminole fans out there, JD, war chant people who I've never known, of course, who've come to me and say, can you say something, do something on your channel? I've done it as much as I possibly could, but I just want to know war chant people. I'm telling you, there has been no lies told on this channel. Only lies have been told from a guy named Genetics. You take that.
Sure.
This now, look, the Florida State could end up in the SEC of the Big Ten, but there ain't no deal has been made yet. And that's the same thing with the Big 12. There's no deal. Florida State's going to get there. They're going to get what they need. They're undeniable. Look, I'm a fat guy from Minnesota, JD. I even know Florida State's. Florida State's on the TV. I'm watching them. That is undeniable. The fans are undeniable. You have created your own great value. The research university is only becoming bigger and stronger continuously, outperforming other Big Ten universities. It's undeniable. Having said all that, I had to tell the truth that there are not the top targets of the SEC in the Big Ten. Maybe that will change, and if it does, I'll come on here and say it again. I'll flip-flop again and get raked over the coals. But I had to tell the truth, JD. And there's more coming, JD. There is more coming. This is going to become more clear. So buckle up. Go ahead, sir. You got the floor the rest of the way.
Okay, I appreciate it. And I appreciate all your input and all that you provide, and I enjoy your show, like always. And, want to clarify that there's a handful of people who I trust, and none of them have ever said it's a done deal.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yep.
There's one in particular that has really high Big Ten connections, and he's made insinuations or suggestions that if Florida State was free, they would have a home in the Big Ten, but he's never pushed back that there's others that are desired targets ahead of them. He's never even disputed any of that. He's never said anything about Notre Dame, none of that. It's just he's got really high connections. So it's my theory. The only thing he's ever told us is that there's been conversations on the golf course, or there's been other things that have happened. You understand what I mean? And
Yes.
Things that have been shared with him about future opportunity or future movement in the Big Ten, but he won't tell us in specifics. So he's always been very comfortable that if FSU was free and they wanted to go to the Big Ten, the opportunity would be there. And I'm not going to speak for him. That's what I gather. That's what everybody else gathers too. So to me, and this is my speculation, that the Big Ten might have plans to go to 24, and if they have plans to go to 24, FSU would be in those plans. That's just me spitballing here. And but he's never talked about who their travel partner, would they have a travel partner? There's been nothing like that. We also have other people that have an ear in Birmingham. There's one insider, doesn't speak a lot, but there's an ear in Birmingham. Now, what I do know is all of them seem to be very confident about the end result for FSU. So what does that mean? I guess we'll find out soon.
Yes.
So none of the people who I consider insiders are wringing their hands at all. So the Big 12 conversations are interesting. Don't get me wrong. When I heard them last week, I thought things had broken down, and oh my gosh, now we're looking at just a worst case scenario. And I don't mean that.
Yeah.
I don't mean that like I'm bashing the Big 12. I don't mean that. There's been assumptions we were going to the Big Ten. Worst case, SEC. You've probably talked with people that have SEC connections, and you may have talked to some of the same people I've talked to. I kind of know where that lays right now. It's not outside the realm of possibility. There's just some minds have to be changed at the moment for that to happen.
Yeah.
And I know who they are, and they may not be the people that most would think, but is that out of the realm of possibility? No. It's not a secret. ESPN wants it. So can they convince other people, other schools to go along with it? And that's part of the negotiating process. And there's also the question of what if the ACC teams, when we talk about dissolving the conference, I think you're right. It's never going to be dissolving the conference, but there would be potentially teams that broke away. What if North Carolina, instead of going to the SEC or Big Ten, decided to go with this little breakaway group?
Yes.
What if all the Carolina schools, except for Wake Forest, and what if Carolina says, all right, we got to bring Wake with us, but that's the only one, but then we do our own little breakaway? What if Notre Dame decides to side with that group because they're going to have almost the same as they had before? What I'm saying is that you go look at the Tier 3 games, and somebody had posted it a few days ago, and I forget who it was because I want to give them credit. But the CW games and what the viewership was, it wasn't terrible. I mean, heck, FSU and North Alabama got 1.3 or 1.5 million.
Yeah.
Against you understand. So, and that's on a CW game. You got to go looking for that. So, the ACC schools, do you know how much they made off of those CW games?
No.
Nothing.
Oh.
They got paid nothing. They get paid nothing for their Tier 3 games. Nothing. Now you see why people want to throw a fit and throw accusations about the Swaffords, about why Raycom had to be a part of the deal. Raycom pays ESPN $50 million a year for those Tier 3 rights, and then Raycom was broadcasting it for a while, but now they lease it out to someone else. Raycom and CW split that money. The universities get nothing. I think they might get maybe 100,000 or $1 million or something for all their Tier 3 games, and that is it. And so if they just give the Tier 3 rights back, how much extra is that? You know, there's so many possibilities that if there was a reconfigured conference, they might even be more valuable than if they went to the Big 12, especially if they could keep everybody that's a brand in the ACC together. And you know, what if you have private equity that comes in and strikes a deal with a TNT or becomes a conference network, or you have collaborations? There's so many possibilities there that, you know, and let's just say, what if there is and I'm speaking speculatively here because we don't know what's been said behind the scenes. A lot of people have a lot of beliefs, but we don't know. What if there has been some sort of a insinuation by the Big Ten to FSU that you could come in, but it would be at about a 50 or 60% share? Mm-hmm. Third party, obviously, third party conversations. And they're like, we got to get more than that. Mm-hmm. Yep. Does the Power 2 really want the brand programs? I mean, is all of this a big negotiation process, big negotiating process? Because do they really want those brands to go to the Big 12? Because if you do that, you might have a real Power 3 rather than just a Power 3 in name. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That could be the result of this.
And so, they could be talking with them because the SEC and the Big Ten might be like, well, we want it to still be a Power 2, and we might just have to go to 24 and snatch up a couple of these teams. All of this could be just there's so many negotiating positions going on right now. We're just hearing bits and pieces, and we don't have all the complete information. But, you know, and what I'm saying is I don't believe anything that you're saying is wrong, and I don't believe anything that the insiders on our end believe are necessarily wrong. Maybe somebody's got it wrong on our end. I don't know. I think there's just a lot of incomplete information, and there's only a few select that actually know everything. But I'm somewhat at peace knowing we're going to be okay, and we're going to find out soon.
Yep. I appreciate JD. Great call, sir.
Thanks, sir.
We've only just begun, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
All right.
Have a great night.
Appreciate it. First of all, everybody in the chat room, calm down. Don't be throwing elbows at each other outside of rival football talk. You can throw an elbow at me, but everybody calm down in the chat room. Dalen 10, holy smokes. Thank you for your super chat. Long time listener, rarely comment. I just wanted to thank you. Hold on.
Call from
Edward, the Auburn Tiger.
Edward, the Auburn Tiger. Can you hold on for a moment, please?
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it. Dalen 10, long-time listener, rarely comment. I just wanted to thank you for providing a great forum for we college football fans. Unity and friendship is needed more than ever in this crazy country of ours. Go BYU Cougs. Thank you, Dalen 10. I appreciate those needed words. at this time. And thank you for your generosity for helping us keep the lights on here at Peek Around the Corner so we can do this every single day. I do appreciate it. Wow. Incredible generosity. Thank you so very much. I wanted to get to a couple more things here. Before we get to Mr. Auburn Tiger, very interested to see what he has to say. Eric Ruby, UCF. Why would ESPN and Fox pay full price for Florida State and Clemson in the SEC or Big Ten when they can split the cost in the Big 12? Both Florida State and Clemson would get their value. Meanwhile, Fox looks for a taste of Notre Dame, the Big Ten too. Great comment, Eric Ruby. Very, very great comment. Thank you for the super chat. I do appreciate it. And also, there's another component to this. Believe it or not, there is the presidents. And we've been saying that. We've been talking about the enrollment apocalypse that's going to happen in 2025 and beyond. The SEC presidents are targeting the state of North Carolina, possibly Virginia, to go with all that. That is their number one target. They're loaded up in football value. Yes, they could add more, and maybe they will. But the SEC presidents of Arkansas, Mississippi State, Oklahoma, Missouri, boy, they would love to compete, love to grab all those high school students that are going to be coming through the growing state of North Carolina. They want their SEC flag put in the ground in the state of North Carolina. And that's what the SEC wants, plus the football brand and everything else. Larry M. asked a question here. Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, did they pass on Florida State? And I have reported this in the last couple of weeks. Ohio State President Carter and the Buckeyes. I don't know if pass is the correct word. I don't want to use that. But they are in agreement that they're focusing on the Notre Dame fight in Irish. Remember, Gene Smith just left the athletic directorship there. He's been the conciliere, the in-between between Notre Dame and Ohio State. Gene Smith was a Notre Dame alumnus. That is what the Big Ten is going to be focusing on. And the SEC is going to be focusing on North Carolina. Mr. Auburn Tiger, the floor is yours. Let it rip.
Greg, it sounds like another great show. We appreciate everything that you do. I haven't heard the whole show, so if I said something that someone's already said, I do apologize. One of the things to do is when I listen to your show, I listen as much as what you don't say as when you do say and how often you say. Mm-hmm. If there was a ranking system when it comes to realignment, you would be number one. And Mr. Shear would probably have to be number two. You guys have always done a great job, always kept us well informed, always kept it close to the breast, but said things when they should be said and not said things when they should be said. So very grateful for that. I've been listening to you, what you've been saying, and I guess what I'm understanding is this. Once again, you have North Carolina, Notre Dame, the two tent pegs. Obviously, by you talking about the Big Ten, what I feel like you're not saying is the mood has somewhat changed on Florida State and Clemson, especially with the opportunity to nab Notre Dame. Maybe they're looking at Notre Dame, like the SEC is looking at North Carolina. They want Notre Dame and all its attachment parts, which goes with it.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be one form of negotiations. I mean, Notre Dame is such a powerful brand. They can probably bring more than just one team with them. They probably can bring two or three with them, and the Big Ten will do everything they can to fill that deal. As we discussed earlier, ESPN is definitely in the catbird seat. They control the pieces. They control the movement. I think there's negotiation between ESPN and SEC. SEC is also in the catbird seat. How those negotiations go, I feel, determines what Florida State and Clemson going to go? If SEC can leverage enough from ESPN, who I feel desperately wants Florida State and Clemson, SEC wants North Carolina, they want Virginia, they have those pro rata, and then there's a TNT factor that seemingly ESPN has a relationship with TNT. And we know, based on negotiations with the NBA basketball, that TNT has probably a couple $1 billion to work with, because they were going to use that to purchase part of the NBA. Did not go through, so we know they have those funds. I mean, wouldn't it be something if they went in with ESPN, instead of getting 2 teams, instead of getting 4 teams, they get 6 or 8 teams? Don't need the NBA when you have SEC on TNT. When you have Charles Barkley and them doing a show for SEC basketball all year, you know, putting games on the True Network and the other affiliates that they have. They're providing resources with ESPN. SEC knows these resources. They know these relationships. They leverage, because they know at the end of the day, ESPN is not willing to let Florida State and Clemson, those brands, just go to the Big 12. I don't think that's ESPN's number one facet. They'll allow it because they're in business with the Big 12. But their ideal situation is to maximize eyeballs on their network. Because of the economy, because of the fierce competition, and because of the future movements. So that's what I believe. And obviously, when SEC takes the soul of the ACC by taking North Carolina, I believe North Carolina State, I believe Virginia, I believe Virginia Tech, I believe the other part of it, ESPN, is going to pay the freight also for Florida State, Clemson. There could be a team, a 7th and 8th team. We don't know that. Depends on what TNT is willing to do, what ESPN is willing to do, and what SEC is willing to allow them to do. This could change the whole board. Greg, what do you think about all this?
Well, we've been talking about it since May 23rd, right? Remember when you and I, we talked, you know, we speculated and we brought up all these scenarios, but then, you know, I did a show that the chatter behind the curtain has completely changed. This is it. This is what, look, guys, I'm going to be honest, okay? I'm going to be honest as much as I possibly can be honest. If you think Jason Shear is the only one who thinks of what he just wrote is true, boy, this information is going to come out in different ways, different timing, tweets, articles. It's coming out. Go ahead, sir.
And Greg, I think you're exactly right. It depends on the appetite of SEC and ESPN. And remember when we were talking, I wasn't aware, maybe you were, of the interest of the TNT part of it. If they are involved with ESPN and ESPN wants all these things to happen, they're going to happen. Because you're not going to get this opportunity again. Just like the Big Ten. Big Ten knows this is the moment to get Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And they're willing to sit back. They're willing to sit back and let the chess pieces move. And I guarantee you third party, they don't have to do third party. They're probably doing first party right now, negotiations.
No, they
right
can't.
now.
They can't.
Either second or third. I thought you said it because they're independent. I might have misunderstood.
Oh, you're talking about Notre Dame? Yes, I'm sorry.
I'm talking about Notre Dame. I'm talking about Notre Dame and Big Ten.
My apologies.
Notre Dame and Big Ten, based on what you said, they could have first-party talks. I guarantee, because based on your tone, your tenor, your conversation, it is a foregone conclusion. The SEC wants North Carolina. I mean, it just seems like the most guaranteed conversation, in this whole conversation that you're talking about, when I'm hearing you talk,
Yep.
SEC wants North Carolina.
Yep.
Everybody in the industry, I guarantee you, knows they're going. It's how they're going.
And Big Ten wants North Carolina too. But
yeah, they want them too.
They're probably on the outside.
Yeah, they're on the outside, but they also have to know the appetite of the SEC. And if the SEC with ESPN, because I mean, if the conference ACC conference becomes destabilized, the pieces have to go somewhere. Okay, they have to go somewhere. A plan has to be made. So ESPN is going to protect their interests, whether they stay a conference or whether they be moved. ESPN is going to protect their interests. And so they're going to maximize all moving pieces on the board. SEC knows that. That's why they have leverage. Big Ten knows that. That's why they're talking to Notre Dame. Notre Dame knows that. That's why they're talking to the Big Ten. And as you have beautifully displayed this over the last several weeks under a barrage of statements coming against you, it has followed everything that you're saying. Everything that you said, for the most part, like an artist writing a tapestry. It is forming. It is coming out. The people are beginning to see this. Even I, Edward Douglas, is seeing this. It's a beautiful thing to watch. I mean, we never might get this moment again. That's why I love your show. I love what's happening. But Notre Dame is talking to the Big Ten. Big Ten talking to the Notre Dame. They already know what moves they're going to make based on what SEC does, based on what ESPN does. And I believe ESPN is going to, when the moves happen, all pieces on the board are going to be took care of. Might not want to get what they want. I honestly believe Florida State and Clemson will not go to the Big 12. I believe at the last moment, when the pendulum seems like it's in the Big 12's favor, and when it looks what I believe legally good, and all the smoke clears, SEC, on the behalf of ESPN and TNT, is going to come in and they're going to go into the SEC conference.
All right.
But they plan on the what he said, the Osceola plan. It might not be just those 4 teams. I believe it'll be more. Thank you, Greg, for all that you do. I will be listening. Keep up the good work.
Appreciate it, Mr. Auburn Tiger. Thank you for those kind words. Thank you very much. Helmer Henderson, Notre Dame. Has the Big Ten not seen Lucy swipe the football from Charlie Brown enough times? Well, you know what? It could happen again. And if it does, then it changes possible certain.
Call from
Larry Andrews.
Larry, can you hold on for a moment, please?
Sure.
I do appreciate it. So, Helmer, if that happens again, then things could change a little bit, right? But yeah, you're absolutely correct. Thank you for the super chat, Mr. Henderson, once again for your generosity to our channel. You've done it many, many times over. I do appreciate it. Thank you so much, Daniel Gorby. Thank you for your super chat. Thank you for your generosity, and I'm going to answer this question. I'm actually going to answer a question. Greg, can you give us a hint on what that extra layer is that I've been talking about for the last few weeks? Yeah, I'm going to give a hint. Now that Jason Shear, Larry, can you hold on for just a little bit longer?
Sure, I'm listening.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for your patience. I appreciate it. Just to post Jason Shear's tweet again. According to sources, there's an internal belief in the Big 12 that Florida State and Clemson are likely to join the conference within the next year or so. Because of that Jason Scheer coming out and saying that. I'm going to give a little hint, not much of a hint, but Daniel, to answer your question, that extra layer is going to be information, a certain direction that is shown, a certain something that will make what Jason Shear said tonight a stronger possibility of happening than I think the average college football fan tonight would look at Jason Shear's tweet and think, oh, maybe this will happen, but it's a lot. There is this layer that hasn't been exposed yet, and I can't go anywhere close to it. But it's going to show that Jason Shear is either on something or onto something, and I think it's going to show that he's onto something. That is my hint. Larry, go ahead. The floor is yours. Appreciate the super chat, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Greg. Listen, I sent one of my little texts to you, on the post that I said about a month and a half ago. As soon as I heard that Rhett Wilmark wanted get that $1 billion to do something with the conference, and I said, is he going to try to get big teams to come into the Big 12? And a couple people just laughed at that comment. Then I got to think, what happens if Florida State, Miami, Clemson, and say either North Carolina State or Virginia Tech or there's one more, Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
If they go into the conference and they play in that conference for 5 years, say till the next contract's up, that contract is going to be very close to what the Big Ten and the ACC gets now.
Mm-hmm.
They may not get exactly, but it's going to be so close. And then you got to look at this. Florida State and Clemson will have a hell of a lot better chance to win a natty from the Big 12 than they ever are from the Big 10 or the SEC. There's too many big teams in there already. If they go to the Big 12, they've got a few. Kansas State, West Virginia, maybe. There's 3 or 4. Arizona this year, but I'm not sure about that. And then you got, of course, Utah. They all got big, they're coming up. So if you got but if they're right now, Florida State, Miami, and Clemson probably would be the cream of the crop, or play right up there with the big boys in the conference. But I think that would so much solidify the Big 12 as the number 3 conference that they would have to get paid just about the same as everybody else. And that would also give Clemson and them a better chance to get into the playoffs. What do you think?
You're bringing up a lot of good points, Larry. You're bringing up a lot of good points. It's I cannot argue with you, sir.
So sometimes, for once, I might be right.
Yeah, well, this might be the first time. I'm just kidding.
That's probably right.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, Greg, you're welcome. But I wanted to tell you one more thing. You get your voice started working, because I'm going to send you 5 free gifted memberships come the week before the Penn State-West Virginia game, and you better get that Country Road song really down pat.
I'll do the best I can, sir. I will do the best I can. I promise. I will be vocalizing. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. I'm all over it, sir. I'm all over it.
And thank you for taking my call, buddy.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, I wanted to let you know I have been one of your original members. I'm an 8-month member.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I just wanted to let you know. I don't know how to do computers very well, so I can't put all that good jargon up there so everybody can read it. But
no worries. I do appreciate, I love your calls. I love that you're part of the community. Thank you, Larry, so much.
And I appreciate you very much. You're the one show that I don't miss. I don't care what time it comes on. I may catch it the second, on later, but I never miss it. Yeah. And I appreciate it much. So you take care and have a good day.
Thank you so much.
And don't listen to none of those other fools that tell you that you don't know what you're talking about. Because I've never known anybody that knew more about this football, whatever it is, than you. And I appreciate it.
I appreciate the kind words. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. John Holmes, Shear is not an intellectual. Well, I can guarantee you one thing, Mr. John Holmes. The fat guy from Minnesota is not an intellectual. Everybody in the PATC community know I'm not an intellectual. I am just smart enough to be able to even put on this to be able to put on this YouTube channel. I can't talk. I can't pronounce words. I sing and everybody leaves. Everybody puts the mute button on. I get everything wrong. My winning percentage against the spread is about 42%. I am nicknamed Greg the Cooler. I'm not an intellectual. However, I can guarantee you this. You put up peek around the corners track record against an intellectual like the Chartman, the Wolford graduate. You put my record up against anybody else, and I'm going to be okay. Same with Jason Shear. You know what? It's not about being smart. It really isn't. You know what it's about? Do you know what it is, guys and gals? You know what it's about? It's about curiosity. If you got curiosity, you're going to keep poking. You're going to keep prodding. And suddenly a door is going to open. You're going to get information. And because you're curious, you're not going to shut it down. You're not going to get stuck in your silo. Remember, I'm the guy, I'm the idiot, I'm the moron on April 4th and I said this is highly speculative. I'm going to put it up on the board on any given Saturday sports book, and I'm going to say Florida State Clemson is the chalk to go to the Big Ten. I was told, slow down. You moved Greg, from chatter behind the curtain. Greg, you're wrong. Tear those odds down. And then ever since then, for 7 weeks, I've been giving you the correct peek around the corner while my name's been dragged over and over and over in these big message boards, and these other YouTube channels are going after me. And we got the story right eventually. The PATC community got the peek around the corner before anyone else did. And it definitely did not have to do with my St. Cloud State University GPA very, very low. It wasn't because of that. It wasn't because of being intellectual. It was because of having curiosity. By building relationships. By building trust. By not backstabbing a source. By only pushing the envelope so far. Letting other things go out in front. but giving you guys a peek around the corner. Do you know how many people on May 23rd was saying that Florida State and Clemson were not the number one targets for the Big Ten and the SEC? Do you know how many people on May 23rd said that Florida State and Clemson did not have a wink-wink and a nod-nod and a handshake deal? They didn't know where they were going. Do you know how many people on YouTube were saying that at that time? How many? 1? 2? And intellectual, intelligentsia, the elitists, whatever. That's not what this is about. That is not what this is about at all. And by the way, once again, Jason Shear is not reporting that it's a done deal. He's reporting that sources are telling him, and he's got great sources. He's actually got a track record. His sources are telling him that there's an internal belief in the Big 12 that Florida State and Clemson are likely to join the conference, that there is a pathway, that there is a route, that there is a chance, there's a development going on there. He's not saying it's a done deal, but it's ripe. There is the possibility, a strong possibility, it's growing possibility that the Big 12 might land these two huge brands. And it's all rooted in one consistent fact. One consistent fact. And that is, as of now, and it's been this way for months, the SEC and the Big Ten have other plans. And no, that's not a shot against Florida State and Clemson. They have other plans. Period. They do. And maybe that's the other layer. Maybe that's the extra layer that it's going to finally come out. I don't know. Maybe. Nothing to do with intelligence. Nothing to do with intelligence. Behringer, I'm buying a Qatar pick if Colorado wins the Big 12. There we go. The SEC doesn't need to expand. True, but they are again. T-Duck, you're right when it comes to athletics and everything and TV value, but this is more than just TV value, more than just academics. It's everything. It's complicated. It's about the enrollment apocalypse. The SEC presidents want to improve their ability to attract a diverse student base after 2025 and beyond.
Call from
Replica.
Holy smokes. Thanks for calling again, sir. How you been doing?
Doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. Fantastic. It's a beautiful Sunday evening. We're all just chilling out, having some fun. What do you think, sir? What is on your mind? What's going on?
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up on my last call about everything I was seeing. I was stating that this wasn't going to end right away, and we're going to have a bulk school going to another conference. And I think with all these stories coming out, and with Dellinger putting his name on it, he doesn't put his name on something unless he gets the green light to say, like, it's okay to talk about those things. And you look at the kind of influence he's gained over the last couple of years, breaking information.
Yeah.
He got the green light to put this stuff out there. I think the real story here is that FSU and Clemson don't have a clear path to either conference the way it was kind of made out to be these last several months. I think what a lot of people were saying, they thought once they became available that it was just going to be this rush and they were going to have this leverage. But I think what's taking place is Notre Dame is stalling this situation out, not only to try to preserve the ACC, but I think in the event that they have to join the Big Ten, I'm thinking they're trying to secure their travel partners. And we don't know how many the Big Ten will be willing to take. The rumors are financially they could add 2 or 3, and it will still be a net gain for the other schools in the conference, but we don't know what the Big Ten's plans ultimately, like what number they're going to decide. The big rumor is Stanford is the +1, but what about Cal? Does Cal get left out in the cold? Does Notre Dame put in a word for them? What about a Miami? Just with that rivalry, we don't know what Notre Dame ultimately wants or what decision they're going to make. And I think that's the holdup, because in the event that Notre Dame joined and they took at least one travel partner, but especially more than one, I think it kind of dilutes FSU and Clemson's leverage against the SEC in a situation where, hey, if you don't take us, we may go to the Big Ten. If that option is not on the table because Notre Dame is trying to get spots for other schools, that kind of changes the situation. I ultimately don't think FSU and Clemson will end up in the Big 12, but I think it's a more realistic possibility than people realize, and I think ultimately it's going to end the way we all thought when it started, that it wasn't going to be in the hands, because they're not the most desired schools, and it's not a knock on their program, fan bases, culture, results, history, anything like that. It's just you have more long-term targets, and these decisions aren't about football. I know a lot of people think that, it's just about the biggest brands, the biggest TV viewerships, matchups, all that stuff. The other side of that coin is that, let's say you put FSU and Clemson in the SEC. That makes Georgia's path harder, Alabama's path, LSU, Florida, like the big dogs, the original teams in that conference. It's already crowded. It's already intense, like massive pressure, like throughout all these programs. So you have to really think twice about that, and also financially, even if they don't come in at full shares, whatever school, not even FSU Clemson, we're talking about UNC, Virginia, what's going to happen with the Board of Governors? Are they going to play ball? So I think ultimately the real story here is that FSU and Clemson don't entirely control their destiny, even though they're taking the most action, just because I think there are other schools that are more desired, like a Notre Dame and North Carolina and whoever they're associated with, because they're going to have to get taken care of in order for those schools to move.
Yeah.
They have to have their conditions met. So I think that's the real story here.
Yep. Great call, Replica. Call again, sir.
All right, thank you. Have a good one.
Appreciate it. Great call, Replica. Yeah, watch the language in the chat room. I understand. People have all different opinions. That's fine. People. More information's coming. I guarantee you that. And more information's coming. It's. I talk about how water will seek its own level, and that's how the information is going to start coming out. It's just how this is done. And I can't give a second hint. I'm already way past beyond. People are underestimating the academic value of Florida State. All that is true. It's just the Big Ten is looking at Notre Dame right now. That is their first. You guys got to remember something. In the Big Ten current contract, Notre Dame is already, it's already written in there that Notre Dame and every other Big Ten school is going to make more money than they do right now. I mean, it's not pro rata, it's pro rata plus. Plus, of course, all the things that come with Notre Dame. So the Big Ten are going to look at that first. And if they don't move after there's an implosion in the ACC, well then, and then we'll see what the Big Ten does. I would hope. I've already sort of broken this story, Peter. As much as it could be broken by now, we've already broke it. We've been saying this stuff since May 23rd. We were the only ones out there saying this. Big 12 Mafia did a great job. They picked up on it. Now, I will say this, Peter. When it gets down to the nitty-gritty, when we can advance the story, when Clemson and Florida State can have first-party talks, we're going to do the best we can, Peter. We're going to do the best we can to let you know what is going on. We were the ones that broke the news that the Big 12 was having third-party talks with Florida State and Clemson 3 weeks ago. And when I reported that, should I show you my DMs? I can't. Should I show you the message boards that I dedicated to the fat guy from Minnesota and what an idiot I am and how I'm anti-Florida State? And I don't know. I mean, I don't know, I'm not sure. Since May 23rd, I don't really know how much more effective we could possibly have been. Going against the heavy currents once again. But that's what we do here, Peek Around the Corner. It comes with the territory. I know I'm going to get sliced and diced. It comes with it. It absolutely does. Yes, you have said after expanding west again, Washington and Oregon, the Big Ten's next target is the Southeast. You're absolutely correct. That has been their plan the whole time. It might not be just Notre Dame. It might not even be Stanford, although they're probably going to be in play. There could be something else with Notre Dame. Remember Expedition Greg and everybody else? I'm saying that relationships is important. If you're new to the channel, if you haven't done so yet, please hit the subscribe button. Open up those notifications. Stick with us here at Peek Around the Corner. We're going to be covering this all week. We're we're heading into SEC media days. After that, next week is the ACC media days. There is Jason Shear does not have a crystal ball onto this situation. Don't know what's going to happen. It's not a done deal. But I'm going to tell you guys this, and I'm going to look into the camera. I'm going to tell you this. There is going to come a time. There is going to come a time for even the ones in the chat room who are doubting the very most, who think this is completely BS, who thinks this is some sort of mirage, who thinks that this is some false flag, some bad rumors, some bad information. Even for you all, at some point, you're going to read Jason Scheer's tweet a little bit different than you are tonight. There's a reason why there is an optimism among the Big 12. And they know they're going to have to come and belly up at the bar and give an offer Clemson and Florida State can't refuse. But this did not come out of just in the air. This did not just, like, Jason Shear did not go, oh, I'm going to write this. Ross Dillinger did not say to John Kurtz what he said. And I did not say on May 23rd what I said just to make something up. When if it was untrue, it would be very easily seen to be untrue a month from now, 2 months from now, a year from now. There is a reason this stuff is being said. And the good news is it's going to become more clear to everybody, including me, because there are doors shut on me. I know that because I've been trying to bust them open, but they're shut on me. There's some doors that weren't. And on May 23rd, we were able to give you the accurate information that Florida State and Clemson are not currently the number one targets for the Big Ten and the SEC. We gave you the correct information. We did not lie. We love Florida State. I love Clemson. Why would I have any negative connotations to those universities? But it's very important for me, this credibility of this show, to tell you the truth. And that's what we did. So I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. The emergency live show. This is not going to be the last one. It ain't going to be the last one. There's going to be more coming. That I do know. So, you know what? Buckle up. Brace for impact. Stay with us here at Peek Around the Corner. I want to thank the generous donation that help us keep the lights on. This College Football Rebel Outpost channel. I appreciate it so much. All the people in the chat. The wonderful comments. Holy smokes. And of course, the phone calls. It's the energy. It's the fuel that keeps this show going. Thank you so much, PATC community. And I want to end it like this. A lot of you heard me talk about May 23rd. You were here on May 28th. You were here June 1st, June 2nd, June 3rd, June 4th, June 5th. You heard me tell the story. You guys know I was getting clobbered all over the place. You let me tell the story as much as I could. The 2 tent poles, Notre Dame and North Carolina. You know that Florida State and Clemson, they're going to get what they're going to get. They're going to get what they deserve because they're incredible, valued universities. It might not be in the way that they thought. You guys heard me say over and over and over again that there has been no offers, no handshake, no deals. And I wasn't saying that to hurt anybody. I did not say that to hurt any fan base, anybody in the PATC community. I said that because somebody had to tell you the truth. And that's why we do here. That is why I did it. There's always going to be people hating me. I understand that. And there's going to be people hating me because I told the truth about the current situation. I understand that. But the PATC community, I need you to know that what we were doing here since May 23rd is exactly how we have broken every other story. Curiosity, poking and prodding, and whatever is the result of it, whatever I can put out at the time, that's what we do here at Peek Around the Corner. So I want to thank you guys, because without you guys, this ain't happening. This show is not happening. It doesn't happen without you guys. So I am incredibly humbled, incredibly thankful. You guys showing up on a Sunday emergency live show based upon one tweet from Jason Shear. I am unbelievably thankful. And so is my wife, the little general. So I do appreciate it. Hopefully you join us for this upcoming week. It's only going to get more wild. So if this was too much for you, if this was a little bit too dramatic, if this was a little bit too much out there, like, Greg, this can't possibly be true since May 23rd, you may not want to stick around for the next weeks and months. But if this is something you want, college football, we talk about it, we do watch parties, we go where the story goes. If this seems like a channel, a PATC community that you would enjoy, join us, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you tomorrow, because tomorrow I'm going to be here again in this studio, and who knows what happens next. Until next time, from all of us at College Football's Peek Around the Corner, to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.